Congratulations. Thank you And when you're ready.
Good. Welcome to Video First, a new digital... That was very smooth FM, wasn't it? Welcome to Video First, a new... I shouldn't say new. Can we just start again?
Yeah.
Welcome to Video First. Oh, are we right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just checking. We're still rolling.
Okay, still rolling.
Yeah.
Try and not sound like smooth FM. Welcome to Video First, a Digital 22 podcast and YouTube series about all things related to video in business and taking a video first approach to everything you do so that it can transform your business. I'm Paul and this is John.
Hello.
Episode 3. Avoid doing this when creating video marketing on a budget. And to start us, John, you've got some interesting stories. This title's going to be fun. We must stress now we're only going to talk about things from previous clients and no names will be shared. And we're only saying things which we actually did say to clients at the time. And in the spirit of what we're going to be talking about, we're going to start sharing some of our own failures, mistakes and clangers that we've dropped.
Yeah.
And you've got one involving a helicopter.
Yes, I have. I thought when we were chatting just before the podcast, I thought of many stories and many times I've messed up over the years, but I thought the helicopter story would be quite good. It was quite a big failure on my behalf. So I was out working in America and there was a big sporting event going on that the guy that was running the event, so I won't drop any names, but we needed a helicopter shot. And it was there was about 300-400 kids.
I'm guessing this is pre-drone.
It was just the drones were picking up.
Right.
The helicopter was actually part of the event, so we were sort of killing two birds with one stone. Basically, I was going to film an aerial shot from the helicopter. And so about 300-400 kids that were going to be running around this field, and it was going to be a big celebration to begin this sporting event. And I just got a hold of a new gimbal, like a Steadicam. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's just... you put your camera on and it keeps your shots nice and steady using electronic motors and gyroscopes and whatnot. And of course, I wanted to use my new toy, my new gadget, because I love gadgets. So I thought in a helicopter would be the best time to try out my new toy. So we went to the airport. We got there nice and early. There was 3 of us in the helicopter: the pilot, me, and someone that was taking the photos in the back of the helicopter. And the pilot was great. Like he allowed us to just set up how we wanted it, so we took all the doors off the helicopter. So it was pretty sketchy as it was, like we were literally only strapped in with a seatbelt. And so anyway...
Whose kit was it?
My kit,
right.
kit, yeah, so doubly...
How much?
A couple of thousand
right.
pounds worth of camera gear at this point. And anyway, we take off and we fly about 10 minutes, we get to the drop zone. And as soon as the helicopter was coming overhead, it was going to signal the start of this big sporting event, and everyone was going to go crazy running around this field. So of course we get to the area, the pilot counts me in, he's like, right, we're coming over the drop zone. He turns the helicopter, I get ready with my gimbal, pick it up out the footwell of the helicopter, point it out the door of the helicopter, and I hadn't accounted for the fact that we were in a helicopter in the sky, and the helicopter uses propulsion. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I put my camera and gimbal out of the door of the helicopter, the propellers were causing so much turbulence that it just kicked my camera in every single direction. And I just saw my camera as it was spinning round and round and round in my hand. Of course, I completely missed the shot that I needed.
They're all running wild.
They're all running like they've seen the helicopter. The kids are going crazy. They're like, it's happening, and I've missed the shot.
You had literally one job.
I had
one shot.
one shot, and I completely missed it.
It could be worse. I honestly thought you were going to say you dropped it.
It was close. I mean, if I hadn't been holding on for dear life, I would have lost it.
What an experience, though, dangling out a helicopter.
It was fun. It was fun. And luckily, I had the foresight to think, hang on, I've only got one shot at this. So luckily, I had attached a GoPro to the underside of the helicopter. So I did have a fail-safe shot. It just wasn't the shot I wanted. So that's a lesson for you there if you're ever filming in a helicopter.
And you kept hold of the new bit of kit,
which
would have hurt you more than losing the shot.
Yeah, that would have been tearful.
I was having to think of something, a first mess up that comes to mind for myself. So thinking of this title and using your budget wisely and not blowing your budget and avoiding these things. I guess a story I've got to share is we were doing a video series for a client, series of adverts, all about broadband and speed and accessibility of broadband in rural areas. And one of the use cases was you can finally get all the broadband you need for everybody to do what they need to do.
Right.
So it's a few years ago. So it was when certain areas would only just be getting fibre and so on. So we had this use case of you can work from home, the kids can do the homework, someone can stream, someone can game. We had all these different use cases, and it all came together at the end of this advert for everybody being on the internet at once. And we set up the final shot of this particular one of the adverts to have all the different use cases all represented in one living room at the end. And it was only when we'd edited it and sent it to the client queried it, we had two parents who, they must have started very young to be the oldest kids' parents. And also we had a baby, a toddler, a 10-year-old, 2 teenagers and a young adult and the parents, all in this living room with enough seats for 4 people. So there was people sat on the floor, they all had an iPad each, it was the most unnatural thing ever. And then as soon as someone pointed it out, we were like, we should have caught that.
Yeah, it's that
so
light
just
bulb
a
moment.
waste, yeah. Just that moment where you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, should have caught that in planning.
It's horrible, isn't it, when you go to all that effort and it's just the tiniest things that you don't notice till after the fact.
So then it was scrambling around of, well, really we need to reshoot it, but it's our cost, and it was we had to hire the house, we had to hire all the people like the business to go and be on camera. So I think we ended up just saying like, look, we will do if you really want it again, but we don't think it's usable and it'll cost us this much to do it. Please, can you let us off? And they were good sports. They let us do it.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So sometimes there's no way out of it. You just got to reshoot.
We'd have had to swallow it.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling.
I've got another note. I've got the broadband with bad family planning, not planning something too big, helicopter, and something to do with.
Should have known you were going to bring this up. So yeah, this is another story I have.
So we're telling this in the open office as well. If you're watching on YouTube, we're filming video first down in the library, and you can see the rest of the office. So the team's gradually coming back in as we come out of lockdown now. So. Yeah. If we were recording this in a couple of months, the full team would hear it. Yeah. But you've got about 6 people, I think, who are going to hear you.
Well, they will hear it when they watch the podcast. So. Yeah, and they had the parade in the centre of Birmingham. Brilliant. It was great. It was a good laugh, actually. Yeah. But there's a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look for you.
Yeah, the situations you get into. Well, there's none of that usually when we're working here on B2B videos normally. So that's that's a few different ends of the scale there, but. Expecting the unexpected is I guess a link to getting into the main show, the topic of the show, which is avoiding doing this when creating video marketing on a budget. And that's something there that's fun comes out of all these things where we've made mistakes or got in situations or stuff happens on shoots. It always happens, and I guess that is one thing to. Hopefully it's not too tenuous, but like expect unexpected things to happen. Yeah. So like factor that into your planning. Yeah. Especially if you're on a budget. Like if you've only going to be able to afford one shoot, make sure you've got enough time in the schedule to retake. Yeah. To the battery just dies and you need to go back and get another one. Mm-hmm. Something just factor in whatever you can, some leeway. Yeah. For the bits.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was perfect segue there. Like it's always going to happen. You could be Steven Spielberg, stuff's going to go wrong on the day. Like you can plan as much as possible, but stuff will happen, and just accept that. I think, and as you say, like as long as you plan for that, or like those things to crop up and happen, then it won't take you by surprise as much. And I mean, you've got a list for us today, haven't you? Yeah. You're going to talk us through.
I think the planning thing as well is like it can work the other way. So that shoot I mentioned with the broadband exercise, we actually the broadband adverts. It was my son who was a few months old at the time, as the baby in the scenario.
He's a star from a young age then.
Yeah. He's got to earn his keep, hasn't he? But yeah, we planned in, well, it's a baby, never worked with animals and children.
Mm-hmm.
He just fluked it, first take of like showing some interest in an iPad. And that was it then. We didn't book everyone else to come for 2 hours. So it was like, he got it done in 10 minutes. And we were just all like, oh, well what do we do now?
But you can guarantee if you hadn't planned for those 2 hours,
100%.
you wouldn't have
changing his nappy and crying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that was just you.
Yeah. So you said we've got a few things together. When creating video marketing on a budget, things that we want to run through. So avoid cramming everything in and trying to do a million things with one video. That's a common mistake I see. I've put building a snowman, no planning, short shelf life of a video, just winging it.
Yeah, I'd not heard that phrase before, but I thought that's quite nice. I quite like that.
You like that one?
A snowman, yeah.
I'll tell you where I got it from as well when we deep dive. Being something you're not is something I think. So like, there's a reason actors get paid millions per film.
Yeah.
I can't act. Don't give me a script to remember. I can't do it. So I don't bother trying. I've tried and I can't. Don't expect perfection. Avoid expecting perfection. You'll be there all day trying to achieve it.
Yeah, that's always a tough one, I think. Yeah. Everyone wants to get it right. Everyone wants.
You want to get it
perfect.
right,
like,
of course. Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm super guilty of that. Like, I'll do 1,000 takes. If the
Learning
first take's right.
Learning curve for you when you came into the agency, wasn't it? Of sometimes you got to balance output versus input.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
And then lastly, don't change your mind, especially once you get to editing.
Yeah, this is one we see quite a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk about it a bit more.
So yeah, there you go. The 5 things we think to avoid: stop cramming everything in. Don't try and build a snowman. Actually have a plan. Don't be something you're not, and try not to expect perfection because you won't be able to achieve it. And then avoid changing your mind once you've already shot. And all this comes back to planning, I guess, really. So cramming everything in. When have you come across that? And why should we avoid trying to cram everything in a video?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I see it quite a lot. I've done it myself. I've done it in my freelance career, and I've seen it happen here with our clients. Our older clients. I think it's natural to you just want to get the most of a day's shoot, and especially if you've not done video before. There, as we said earlier, like, so many things can go wrong. We're here to make sure we limit those things that go wrong. Like, ultimately, that's our job in pre-production, is getting things dialed in, nailed, so that things don't go wrong on the day as much as they could. But stuff will happen. As you said earlier, like, batteries can just die on you. If you're in a really, really cold place, for instance, like, batteries have half the shelf life as they do on a hot day.
And this is why, like, when we plan to, we have a pricing mechanism for our video shoots, and one of the factors of helping build up the price is, have we filmed there before? And if the answer's no, and it's a full day shoot, we need to go the day before, just to be sure that things are fine.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things. We can do it at risk, and that's okay, but we'd rather not.
I think a good example of that is we filmed with one of our clients, Global Expansion, a couple of months back, and myself and Paul got there, an hour and a half before the shoot, because we only had access to the location. Bear in mind, this was sort of in between lockdowns, so it was like we could only get to the location at a certain time during the day because it was a public place. And if we just turned up on the day and started filming, we wouldn't have picked up on the fact that we could hear the air conditioning unit above us, and it was like a really low hum. But when obviously we got there beforehand, we could run the cameras, we could check the audio, and we could pick up, oh, hang on a minute, there's like a really low-pitched humming noise in the background. So we were able to pick up on that sort of thing. And it's those little things like that. It's just the foresight and the planning.
And if you can find that out, okay, we've got a 4-hour window to go and shoot. If you've not gone and had a look, you still find it out, and then you've got to manage fitting everything in still whilst accommodating for that. So all you're doing is just reducing your shooting time, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah,
but then next time we go, we know. So
yeah, and if we tried to cram that in, if we said to the actors, the crew, turn up at 9 o'clock when we're getting there, because we want to hit the ground running, we wouldn't have had any prep time, so we wouldn't have had a chance to check. So
I tell you what, I've learned that in the past as well. You just end up pissing your client off because they're sat around going, well, I've taken the day out, come here now, and you don't need me till 12 o'clock. Like, what is the...
And ultimately, it just looks unprofessional, I think, and it's not a good impression. And I think, just to add to that, it's something, again, that clients that haven't dealt with video a lot can be a bit skeptical of. If they say to you, we just want to do this in a day, and you push back and say, actually, we need a day and a half, and they're like, well, that's an extra half a day we've got to pay for. But ultimately, you're saving the money in the long run. When it comes to the edit, you're not having to fix things that have happened. Something's gone wrong that's going to cost them more money in post-production. If you can mitigate that as much in pre-production and filming, say it works out better for everyone.
That's what I always say. It's a lot quicker to change a PDF than to change a Premiere file.
Yeah.
So let's work it out, storyboard and pre-production. The other thing with not cramming everything in as well is I think the purpose of the content. I think if you've got budget for one video, don't try and make it do two things.
Yeah.
Because you'll do half of two things badly. You're better doing one thing properly. And the time when that video's a success and you prove the ROI of it, you'll get budget for another video.
Yeah.
But when you try and do a video that is a case study showing off your culture and a bit of a product demo, too many things at once, it ends up doing none of them.
Yeah. Really good point. I've definitely come across clients.
I get where they're coming from though.
Yeah, because they've been given, let's say by their boss, they've been given a budget, and they said, right, go and make us a video, go and get us a video, get one created, and as you say, include everything in it. And again, from an outside perspective, they think that's possible, and because at the end of the day, you think you just point at the camera and you shoot, and that's it. You capture everything. But if you try, as you say, if you put too much into it, you're not going to get back from it as much, I don't think.
The other learning I've had over the years with that as well is it could still have one purpose, and you think our setting, our listeners, marketing managers, marketing directors, their setting is going to be, social feeds, landing pages. People sitting down to watch the videos we produce for clients aren't sitting down watching Line of Duty and then choosing to watch a video from us. It's in amongst other things.
Yeah.
So before you know it, if you try and cram too much content in under that one purpose, and you can end up with a 15-minute video and 15 minutes worth of content, which to us who are really invested in it, us and the client and the people involved, it's entertaining. But does it need to be that long for someone who just wants to know, do I trust you to be my supplier of whatever it is you make?
Yeah. I suppose that's a whole different thing we could go into, but it's knowing your audience. I think it's knowing what's good to show them, not give them too much.
That's planning, isn't it?
Yeah, it's planning again.
Not
it always,
building
always
a
comes back to
snowman.
planning.
So building a snowman, by the way, comes from Psycho Bill, my woodwork teacher when I started high school.
Right. Okay.
He called himself Psycho Bill, by the way.
That's what you want from a teacher.
He was a really nice bloke, or he's a nice bloke. Still see him around town and stuff. But yeah, he had a temper, and we all thought we were, being a bit naughty, calling him Psycho Bill. Like, don't let me hear you call him Psycho Bill. And I always remember one time there was like a fire drill or something like that, or like the alarms got set off and everybody had to outside, and it was like a red nose day or comic relief day, and he was dressed in like hobo clothing with a harmonica and his like wooden piece of cardboard with his cap for collecting money, playing his harmonica tunes like Psycho Bill, £1 a tune. And we were all like, what? He knows we call him Psycho Bill. Anyway, he gave me the phrase building a snowman. So he'd make you do your plans for woodwork, and he'd make you draw out what pieces of wood you need. You had to order your wood off him, request it out the drawer, and you had to plan out what you were doing. Don't just go and build a snowman and just chuck stuff on until it fits and then take bits off because you don't need them.
Yeah.
So it's wasteful. And the same principle applies to videos.
I like that. That's a good principle to live by, I think. Yeah.
Proper planning in terms of all the stuff you mentioned about the shoot and the location, but also another one, I think, if you're on a budget, avoid making videos with a short shelf life. That if you're on a budget and there's no point putting a load of money into a video, a load of editing time into a video that is going to become redundant in a week.
Yeah.
There's ways to still get a video out, and settings where a rough and ready edit would be fine. Instagram stories, webcam recording video off something like Vidyard, those things can work for a short shelf life because there's no time and cost investment. But if you're going to put hundreds of pounds or even thousands into a video, you want it to be usable into the future and evergreen. Not so it can get views over time.
Yeah. I say we've both come across these, with certain clients. Again, it's when you've got a bigger budget, sometimes you can be tempted, as I say, just to produce these massive videos that cost loads and loads, and you say they have short shelf lives, when realistically, that same money could have been put into 5 videos instead of 1. Again, probably coming back down to planning, and knowing your audience, knowing how long, as you say, knowing the shelf life of what you're producing, and it's, I suppose, weighing up cost and time.
Yeah, it's different. We're talking about a different type of video there from, say, a TV advert, which would have a huge budget and a short shelf life. But it's a different purpose. We're talking here about inbound video, aren't we? We're talking about videos in a digital setting.
Yeah.
And getting the maximum, longevity out of your budget.
Yeah, especially the world that we work in. I think what a lot of people don't realise is you can utilise, if you plan it correctly, you can utilise the same video over and over and over again in different formats. So, I mean, there's so many social platforms nowadays. Nowadays, we don't just produce a video, put it on Vidyard or YouTube, and that's it. With the videos we create, we want them to be able to live on Instagram. Whether it's in short snippets on the stories, using them on LinkedIn to highlight certain parts of your business. If you want to go down the whole social media rabbit hole, TikTok's the big thing nowadays. So you can pull snippets from larger productions and you get 10 times as much content out of one video.
Yeah.
If you think about it if you plan it beforehand, and and ultimately, if you think, right, we can use this on this platform, let's make sure we film this on the day, capture these things, and you're getting 5 times as much out of one day's shoot.
Exactly. And that's maximising your budget, isn't it?
Yeah.
With a proper plan. So the bits that are expensive on video, it's something that I think keeps coming up when we plan these shows, is the question that people ask who are new to video. Can I have a video? How much does it cost?
Yeah.
There's so many variables that affect the cost, and the ones that affect the cost massively are shooting time and editing time. But a day's shoot can record a year's worth of video.
Yeah.
In terms of, if you buy a couple of days editing every month, you could record enough to feed that editing time in one day. Likewise, you could spend a week recording 2 minutes worth of footage. So it's about planning how long you get out of that production and how long it needs editing as the other big things that can pivot your cost. And if you're on a tight budget, it's maximising how much you get done on your shoot, maximising that shoot time. Because while your video crew's there, they can't shoot anything else. Therefore, that time is locked in, and that's what you're paying for. So if you can maximise what you're getting out of your shoot, good way to use your budget. And then also making the editing efficient.
Yeah.
Which is not needing all these different cuts, different animations, you can reduce the editing time.
Yeah.
To control your budget, can't you?
That's a really good point. And again, that's a whole rabbit hole we could go down. But that's why you use the pre-production stage and the planning stage. Let's say, for instance, we work with some clients that film their own content and they purely want us to edit it. Sometimes we get sent files in certain ways that require so much work to be able to just edit or to download or to deal with, that you end up doubling the cost of a production because you didn't plan it out, or because you just got sent the files. Like, if we'd had the time to plan it with the client and say, right, make sure you're sending them in this format and you're recording them with this setting and then send it using this file service. Again, that's why the pre-production stage is so important. And I know we've spoke about it in the past.
And the cost is that's not a big cost in the project either, the pre-production.
No.
Other than time of coming to a meeting, chatting about it, finding out what you need to do, getting everyone on the same page and getting the plan down on paper.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper to do it on paper than going back and reshooting something that you missed.
Yeah.
Booking in the editing again because the end product just isn't what you actually had in mind, or you've changed your mind, which is another one of the tips.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, out of the pre-production, production, and post-production, pre-production is ultimately the cheapest, and you're probably getting the most out of it. If you're planning, you're getting the most worth of your money, I reckon. Because we've had clients that asked us, why do we need to have meetings? Why can't we just go and film? We know what we want to do. Can we just go and do it? And then we have to explain, well, look, we need to think about these things. And then once you tell them, they're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Let's plan it now. Let's have some calls. And then it's like ultimately it just saves so much hassle and headache down the road.
And then the last tip, we've skipped a couple, but just to round up on that point, it actually links to the thing to avoid. Number 5 is changing your mind. If we can agree that plan and stick to it, that's how to maximise your budget. Nothing will blow your budget more than getting to post-production, seeing a draft and going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing to...
We've both seen this happen.
If you're on a budget, that is going to screw you up.
Yeah. And I think it can come from a lot of places. I think the big thing is from the client side of things. If you know for a fact that you need 5 people from your business to have input on this video, don't wait to the edit stage to bring those other 4 people in for feedback. Make sure they're there from the get-go.
Exactly.
Because, ultimately everyone's got their own ideas and visions.
And that ties into the first thing to avoid as well. Also there, don't try and cram everything in. It could turn out, if you've got 3 stakeholders, you need 3 videos because they've actually got 3 different purposes.
Yeah.
So it's all back to planning and sticking to your plan, isn't it? And the last 2, being something you're not. We're a bit tactical and hands-on now with these 2. Being something you're not and expecting perfection.
Yeah.
So don't be, if you aren't a big corporate company with a worldwide staff force of thousands, don't try and present that in a video. I mean, the example last week we saw of, can't remember what they were called now, that agency that had ripped off our website and our client testimonials.
Yeah. Can't remember what I
can't remember where I think they were from India.
Yeah.
But they were trying to appear like they were in the UK and they'd hired these actors. It was all obviously done on Fiverr or an equivalent.
Yeah, it wasn't even like unashamedly copied. Like they just...
Yeah. We'll put a link into Ricky's post on LinkedIn. But yeah, you can see through it, can't you?
Oh, yeah. No.
But likewise, like we said at the top, sort of, I have to read the intro. I can't remember lines.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason actors get paid so much as they do. It's a real skill.
Yeah, when we did that a couple of months back, we were filming some stuff for the website, and I think you had gone on a call, so I had a bit of time between shoots. So I was like, oh, I'll go and quickly, inverted commas, go and record something, a piece to camera. I think, 2 hours later, we were still trying to get me to say the words correctly because we had no script, hadn't planned it out. I just thought,
yeah, just an extra we were chucking in, we'll wing it, and it doesn't work.
I just could not get it out, just could not.
Did that go in the vlog?
It did. It's not seen the light of day yet. No, it's still hiding on my hard drives.
I notice the ones I mess up are on Giphy. Yeah, so you don't hide those. And then last one, don't expect perfection. If you try and tinker until it's perfect, you'll be here all day.
Yeah. And I will put my hands up and say I'm guilty of that.
We're not saying put out rubbish, by the way.
No, there is a difference. Sometimes you want the world from a piece of content. You want to get, as we said earlier, you want to give so much with one video, when sometimes it's just not realistic. Like, if you get to the 80% stage where everyone's happy, and you can do more, just, that's learnings for the next video.
Yes.
All right, next time we can do this, this, and this. Otherwise, if you just, again, I've had it with stuff in the past and with clients, where you just keep amending and changing things, and there's new...
Because it's so subjective, isn't it? Because everyone's a viewer of video.
Yeah.
Like, we've all got a legitimate opinion.
Yeah, it's like, I think any art form, like you go to an art gallery, some people will love the Mona Lisa, and some people are like, I don't get it. And it's the same with video, I think. It's, as you say, it's so subjective, and you've got to find that middle ground. From our side, like from an editing side, I've got to meet the client in the middle, and the client's got to realise, it's not maybe what I'm thinking, but ultimately, as part of a bigger picture, it does work.
Is it going to do its job of converting people from wherever it is in the journey? Is it going to move the viewer onto the next stage, closer to working with us? And when it's sat on your Mac, it's not doing that to anyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got to find that balance. And I think that's my final note to finish on. The golden tip for me is sort of, if you're on a budget, out of all those things, planning. And then remember, it's not doing anything towards its purpose if you don't release it.
Yeah.
So plan properly and don't aim for perfection. Aim for that 80-20 rule, that you can get 80% of your impact very quickly. That final 20% is going to take way too long than it's worth to achieve.
I think as well, ask the questions. Ask in the pre-production stage. You know, it might be a silly question, but realistically, there's no stupid questions. Like, ask the questions beforehand, because as you say, when it gets to the edit stage, then that's when you're starting from scratch. When oh, could we do this instead? Ask that question in pre-production.
Planning, pre-production. That's the key, isn't it? If you're on a budget, plan properly. Don't expect too much.
Yep.
Okay, so we're up to half an hour there. We'll call that a day on episode 3.
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing the stories.
I think there was some good stories there, and I think we got some good points across there.
Check out our other podcasts, Inbind After Hours, Inbind Influencers, this one Video First, Trending Upwards. You're recording a new one this aft with Mel and Sarah.
Yep.
We've plenty of other shows. If you follow Digital22 on SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcasts, you'll get them all in the same feed. And also check out all of our videos at video.digital22.com. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And watch our vlogs to see the outtakes and where we mess up behind the scenes.
Just search Digital22 Online Limited on YouTube. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. And cut. Nice.
Getting in the rhythm.
Yeah, I like that. A lot more.